Welcome to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show for purpose-driven, passion-fueled spiritual entrepreneurs ready to live their purpose, passion and prosperity as they create the life and business of their dreams whilst transforming the world, doing what they love and making fabulous money. Each week we bring you inspiring and empowering topics, popular thought leaders to empower you to transform all areas of your life and business. With your host, spiritual intuitive, entrepreneur, transformational business coach and mentor, Kimberley Lovell.
Lisa, I'm so excited to have this conversation. I love the topic, the name that you came up with. It really was speaking to me. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I can't wait. So, Sexy Sunday, how to allow your future to have its way with you. Tell us more. You are a phenomenal facilitator, wordsmith, futurist, creative. Perhaps you might want to just say, I don't know if you want to say a little bit to say hello to everybody and introduce yourself to them, or we're just going to dive in.
I'm terrible at introducing myself, but what I would say is in fact, you really just did it.
Okay.
All I want to say really is I'm just here to play with you all, and if you've got any questions, throw them in the chat, and I wonder what conversation we can have tonight that might change something for you and invite you to something much greater maybe than what you've been choosing. And it's funny because, Kimberley, you asked me, you're like, well, what's our topic? And I'm like, and then it just rolled out in front of my eyes. And this is what happens often for me is I don't have to work very hard to name things. They just come to me. And the whole idea of allowing your future to have its way with you, I think that one of the biggest things about that is like not being a control freak.
Never been one of those.
No, you've never been one. I've never been one. In fact, no, I don't know any control freaks. They're just like a what do you call that?
I bet there's no control freaks watching.
Almost extinct. Yeah. No, there wouldn't be any control freaks watching because, they're almost extinct on this planet. That's why we'd be talking about this. And so what I do know is that, when we try and control the future, when we try and make it be what we want it to be, and we push with it, it doesn't really leave a lot of space for the magic and the fun and the play, and I think people wonder why I'm mostly so happy, because I am occasionally not happy or a bit grumpy or whatever, but most of the time I'm really happy. And I've noticed that the less control I have in my world, the happier I get. And, our minds don't want to think that because they are really like, oh, no, let's make sure this is all in order and how it should be and blah, blah, blah. And yet our being is like, oh, thank goodness you finally gave all that crazy stuff up, So that's the beginning, I think, of allowing your future to have its way with you. And I wonder where we can take it from here.
I wonder. That's interesting, the whole control thing. I was freaking out just now trying to get cool set up and, because that kit normally works like that. And of course I'm doing something different, right? And I hadn't realized it was different and I needed to do it different. So, because we want to have everything together. And so how much fun could it be to be out of control? To me, that's quite scary sometimes. So maybe we want to talk about, how to allow ourselves to be out of control. Because the future can't have its way with us unless we surrender somewhat.
Yeah, look, this is really true. And so I think one of the biggest distinctions for me has been that there's a big difference between being organized and being a control freak, because what I've realized is that I had somehow mashed the two up together so that everything had to be perfect. And what I've noticed is that actually there's a really big difference between those two things, because when you're organized, it allows things to flow and it doesn't matter if things change because you are feeling good within yourself. And so therefore it's like, oh yeah, it'll be okay, it'll work. It's got this natural kind of rhythm to it, even if it doesn't work as planned. Whereas when you're being a control freak, I remember when I was in my 20s, I would make myself physically ill. I would be unable to eat if things weren't going how I needed them to go. And when I look back, I put my body through such a hard time, I would literally have that much stress response going on in my body that I couldn't eat. And it's a really interesting thing. And I know there'd be some people going, oh, that sounds like a good thing. No, it's not. Let me tell you, it's not a good thing. You know, there are other ways to lose weight. It's not the best way at all. And so what I think for me is that trust in ourselves, when we really get to that space, and I don't think you can allow the future to have its way with you unless you trust yourself, unless you trust that you're going where you're going and it's going to be okay whatever happens. You know, like, I mean, I'm coming to Europe for 10 weeks, and it's really interesting because there's a lot of unknowns amongst all of that. There's a few known things and there's a lot of unknowns. And you know, I look back to the first trips I made, say 6 years ago, and I was obsessed about planning all the details. And now I'm just like, oh, it'll be okay, you know? And like, I pretty much just allocate myself a travel day, and I know that when I get there, I'll work out how I get between the places that I need to go. And so we have this thing, and that then allows for the synchronicities to occur, for the universe to, you know, throw you a few lucky dips and actually, you know, give you some stuff to play with. Because if we are controlling everything, basically all we've got is what's in our brains. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a little scared if I think of it like that. You know, and it doesn't matter how smart you are, you should be scared. Because
Yeah.
what sort of shows up is that you if you're trying to control everything and you're limiting it to what you believe you can handle or what you believe, you know, you can deal with or be happy with or whatever the parameters are for you, it really stops the magic and it really stops the phenomenal, amazing stuff from showing up because you can't plan that stuff. You can do your best, you know, you definitely can do your best, but ultimately, we are not the best planners. Have you ever noticed that when you try and plan something down to the nth degree, there's usually a few bits of information that are missing? And that if you were actually just to let go of the reins a little bit, you know, let the horse have its lead a little bit more, then it's actually amazing how things just roll along and come together without you having to work so hard. And so
I
I
love
think this
that.
is, you know,
Yeah, I
a
love
lot
that.
of,
I love the idea of it, right? I do. I love the idea of it. And I know certainly for me in the past and sometimes now I dip into it. You know, I kind of can find myself trying to control stuff and pushing and, you know, kind of, and in my head, it's like I'm trying to get everything organized so that it's all perfect. So it's still coming from that place of fear or anxiety, like something's going to go wrong, so I must control it, you know? And like, isn't it funny? I now I'm kind of like, it's amusing, right? Because I haven't got the right angle and lighting and like, you know,
yeah,
whatever, and like starting 3 times. But so what? It's life, it's real. People are here, you know, it's like it doesn't have to be perfect. And, you know, how much fun can we have when we don't have to have it be perfect or the way that we think it's going to be? Because often it turns out, you know, well, just different and, you know, you couldn't plan it.
no. And you know, it's funny you just mentioned lighting because I literally just dialed down the lighting on my computer screen because I'm like, I look like a, what is that? And then I'm like, oh, it's because my computer screen is like reflecting my face. And
And
you
I'm
know,
like, oh my God, this wrinkle, I'm a bit close, I can't get further away because I'm hand holding.
because your arms not long enough. Yeah, you're just gonna have to learn to do it with your toes, right? No,
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I didn't know it was a phone. I would have put my tripod up, right?
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah, I know.
It's all
Well, I
good.
just slapped
Hello,
mine on
everybody.
books. Yeah. Anyway, back to the topic because we could just, you know, and all I can say is that every time I come to that beautiful set of conclusions about whatever it's going to look like, the universe slaps my ass. And it's just like, no, 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 no. What are you thinking? Please stop that thinking. And it shows me a completely different set of possibilities. And so what I've learned is that rather than kind of put all that energy into being determined that it's going to be a certain way, what works better is to actually go, well, okay, universe, here's a few of the things I'd like. What do you got? You know, and when we start to create our future from that space, and it's an entirely different game, actually, and it's a much bigger game. And I actually think that a lot of control and a lot of what we're talking about tonight and a lot of wanting it to be perfect and all those things comes from trying to keep ourselves small and trying to keep ourselves, you know, contained so that we're not too much for other people, so that we're not too much for the world. And it's really funny because just before we got on this call, one of my friends, Jenlene, she pulls cards for people, and she'll actually intuitively choose you a song. And the song she sent me, I'll just get you the name of it. It was oh, it's so funny. I was just laughing when she sent it. I was like, oh, of course, it's just got to come. Speak out now. You know, and I think this is the time we're in. What I really want to say is this is the time we're in, okay, where we have to, I mean, and not that I really like the words have to or should, I don't really believe in them, but in some ways, if we want a different future, if we want something that's better than what's here now, then it is our time to speak out. It is our time to be as big and as bold and brilliant as we are. And, you know, this is really the invitation, I think, for everyone who's listening. It's like, well, what would it be like if you dismantled the control, dismantled the perfectionism, dismantled all that small kind of picky stuff that stops you from being the bold you? And it doesn't mean you won't get things wrong. It doesn't mean people won't vilify you. You know, like, I lose followers on Facebook every day, and I don't really have a point of view about it, because it's like the people who are there for what you want to talk about are the ones who are there, right? And if they're not there, they need to go listen to someone else, or whatever it might be. Listen to themselves. I don't even mind what they listen to. And I think, you know, we take so much of this stuff personally, when what we need to do is take it actually much bigger than ourselves. And this is the future that, you know, if we would allow it, would come to us, is allow that much bigger, bolder future to arrive, so that we can actually be what we came here to be. Not even what we can be, but what we came here to be, because we didn't come here at this time by accident. I'm really clear about that. You know, we came here because we're like, there's a planet and it needs some change. Let's just put it that way. And I got some stuff that could change it. And I can be that change. I can, you know, be part of that. And I think, you know, when we come in and we're babies, look at how much a baby changes the world just by being.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing, the baby allows the future to come. It might not be that excited when it's coming out the birth canal, but once it's out, it's like, oh, right now I'm here in a new place. Let me see what it's got. And it's that thing of the curiosity and the, okay, well, let's see. Here I am, I've landed in this place. Now, what has it got? What can it offer? And this is all of the stuff, you know, that we're going to play with, I think, around this topic, because there's just, there's so much more available than what we allow ourselves to have. That's what I really see so often.
I love that you know, talk about the being, because often we just get caught up in the doing this, doing that, doing the other, trying to create something that we think, you know, we're going into conclusion, we're trying to control it all, create it all, busy doing. And when we be, as you say, that's kind of when the magic's coming in and the future's whispering to us. And if we don't allow ourselves to be, then we don't get the whispers, we don't get that magical guidance and the possibilities.
Yeah, it's true, you know, and I think for a lot of people, one of the biggest things is they think, I don't have time to be.
Yeah.
You know, because they equate being with doing absolutely nothing, sitting, you know, meditating, staring at the wall, whatever it might be, whatever your horror story of being might be. And, you know, I have that too. Well, I think, you know, for a lot of us who are, you know, more the, let's just say the overachievers, the people who are a little driven in their world, you know, in the way they are in the world, it's really interesting to see, because we resist all of that being. We resist it because it feels like nothing, but actually there's a lot contained in the nothing. And to me, you know, it took me a long time to move myself out of that pattern where I was in resistance to it all. And now what I've realized is there's so much in that space of supposedly nothing that if we would allow, and we're back to allowing again, if we would allow what's actually there to fully land in our world, we would never lack for anything, you know. But we're so busy trying to get something that we never allow what is there to land. And, you know, this is, I think, one of the really big things that I want to really play with in the Creative Futures events is actually like diving deep into that space and going, well, okay, we're here, we're allowing, we're being, we're inviting. Now, how can it land? Where can it land? What is the invitation we need to be to have what we truly desire? And it's not that we have to just receive, because I think the other thing that freaks people out when, you know, if you're a control freak, part of the reason you want to control everything is that you want it to be your way. And what I noticed for me was that I didn't really trust the universe to give me something great. I actually felt like I could get a better outcome than what the universe could, which was, you know, maybe a little bit precocious, shall we say, overrated. I'm not quite sure what you want to call it, but you know, I was a bit of a smart ass maybe. And what I've really noticed since I sort of, you know, chilled out a bit was that the universe is actually pretty damn excellent at delivering awesome stuff. And you know, this whole trip is a case in point, because literally, you know, 85% of it was put together in about 2 weeks. And then the last piece, I knew which country it was, and I just needed to find the right people. And that took a little bit longer. And it's really interesting to see how when we give the universe free rein with our requests, but not like it has to be that and it has to be in this way, when we give up all of that, then there is this real magic that shows up that is better than anything we can work out. And what I think is really funny is a friend of mine, probably the second or third trip I went to Europe, she was like coordinating all the countries for me. And she was like, you just got to let it go. I'm like, no, I can't, you know? And so I know this space.
I refuse.
Yeah, and I look, I know she'll probably listen to this and go, oh God, I told her all those years ago, and she did tell me, and it took me a while to learn it. And I guess this is what the invitation is to come and play with us, to drop into this space so much faster than what I did, because I think that I was like you know, the one where the universe went, oh, we've got a live one, we're going to have to work a bit harder on this one because she's going to take a while. You know, and yeah, I'm glad I've kind of got over the hump and now I'm on the downhill run. It's definitely getting easier. So I don't know, Kimberley, what would you like to add to this whole conversation?
I'm just super excited, you know, to play. And I've had quite an interesting week. You know, I had an issue with my back. And so, you know, just as you're talking now, I'm like, oh, okay. That my biggest fear is doing nothing, because like I spend a lot of time doing things. You know, I be and do nice things as well, but I can be, you know, too much in the doing. My worst fear would be doing nothing, because it's a waste of time. But as you say, in the nothing is everything. And so I've had a lot of inspiration while I've been, you know, laid up, which I probably wouldn't have had if I was busy trying to do so many things.
Yeah, you know, our bodies are really smart like this. And what I do know, because I mean, you know, my background with burnout, and, you know, when my body for about a year, it just couldn't do hardly anything. And so I had to learn to be, even though I fought it all the way, I did have to learn. And I think it's really interesting what you've just said about, oh, and you had so much inspiration in that space. And I think this is the thing, is when we make a choice to give the space, then the future, that's the allowing that allows the future then to deliver us everything and more, you know, because it can't deliver if we're not here, we're not present, we're not actually, you know, with it. It's like going, well, you know, she thinks it's in the future, but I'm here now, but she thinks it's in the future, you know, and I think that's a really interesting thing. And
I love
something that,
that too. That is like, this is like passion. All right, because I get so frustrated. I want everything yesterday, and I know I'm not the only person here with that issue. And but what actually, if it was already here, it's just that we think it's in the future, and we're getting frustrated, and we're waiting, and all the while we're pushing it further away. So
yeah,
because we're trying to control it and make it be what we want it to be, rather than what it wants to be. So, I'm just so super excited and looking forward to playing more with this,
yeah,
Yeah. Maybe
yeah.
maybe we could talk about what we're going to be, a bit more about what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, well, for sure. So we're going to have a 2-day class in Glastonbury in the UK. And, I think what's interesting for me is that I was very pulled to that area, like, because it does have magic, it has a lot of magic. And oh, it's so funny. It's almost like I don't have words, and maybe you've got better words for this than me at the moment. But there's a magic there that I know we're going to tap into, maybe in very different ways to what other people tap into it. Because for me, it's not even so much about the history and the past as it is about what is available because of what's there,
Mm.
because, and what can we tap into that maybe is waiting for us to tap into. And if what I'm saying talks to you in any way, then probably this is the particular class that you want to come to, because I know that with the locations of all the classes, they all have a magic in them in some way. Like the land has very much spoken when I've been choosing these classes. And what I do know is that as we gather together and explore what is available in that particular location at that particular time, I know there's going to be some really beautiful, amazing magic showing up for us in the context of the creativity and the futures, because creativity isn't what people think. And I don't want to go into the detail of all of that right now, but what I would say is, for people, when they look at the words creative futures, it's almost a freak out, because it's almost like you've put two of my most scary words in one very small sentence. And
Yeah, like,
what
I'm not creative.
yeah, exactly. Well, how many people tell themselves that they're not creative? And one of the things that I know, because I've been working, with the energy of creativity and creation for, gosh, a long time, probably 7 or 8 years, like in detail, and of course, a long time before that personally. But in this last 7 or 8 years, what I've really noticed is the people that say I'm not creative are usually the people who have defined creativity as art and craft.
Yep.
And so even this morning, we did a Creative Wonders online retreat, and the creativity that came through nature in those few hours was just extraordinary and life-changing for people. And what I really think the invitation of creativity is, in the context of what we're doing over these 2 days, is to see your future from totally different spaces than you ever have before, and to allow it to come in the most creative ways that it can. And because what I know is the joy and the bliss and the play and the pleasure comes from the creative energies. And so when we allow the future to come through that kind of lens, there's a sense of adventure and a sense of magic, and it brings a lot of different energies in that maybe we would exclude if we were just trying to get from A to B in the fastest possible way.
Mm, love that.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like a retreat from the doing, an opportunity to be, and an opportunity to play and to listen to ourselves, listen to our hearts, our soul, to listen to the future, our greatest future. And we're also talking about, like, who we can be on the planet and what we can change, because we have so much more capacity. And often when we're caught up in doing and we're not being, it's like we diminish our capacities, and
yeah,
we can't access them. And yet we're so powerful, so potent. So I get this real sense of opportunity to recognize our power and our potency and our passion, and to really be the change that we're looking for, both personally but also collectively, and in the planet, on the planet, in the world.
yeah. Yeah, look, totally. I feel like there's so much, and I feel like every one of the classes is going to be different in terms of the focus. So really hard. And in the UK, we're going to do this because, you know, we're allowing the future, we're not controlling it. But you're right that there's going to be, you know, I think a space for connecting with the land, receiving. I think a lot of actually having the futures we're asking for is about receiving, and we're going to find ways to receive both in that kind of retreat energy, but also in the energy of our daily life, because I think it's really easy to go away for that weekend and dive into all of these really cool things, and then all of a sudden you're back in your real life and it all disappears. And my desire is that people actually come away and it's become a part of who they are, so that then it's not something that disappears when you go back home. It's something that literally you keep playing with and you keep being present with, because you know that energy so intimately now that it isn't something that is going to leave you. Like, you know, that moment when you really get something and all of a sudden, and when you really embody it through the whole of your body, and all of a sudden it's just like, well, it's so obvious. Why didn't I know that before? My sense is that that's what we're really going to come to in the context of Creative Futures, so that you have this really clear sense of what the embodiment of your futures can be like and how it can actually come to you rather than you doing all the work. So if you're actually really tired of working so hard, probably it's a good adventure to come on.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, and I'm super excited to play. So has anybody got any questions? Because I'm sensing we're going to close in a moment. Has anyone got any questions?
Maybe we should give people the dates.
We'll put the link for the workshop. The dates are, 15th, 16th of September. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. I was going to say 13th, 14th for October. So yeah, you're right. 15th,
and we're in an amazing location. We're in the Goddess House in Glastonbury with all the beautiful energies. So I'm looking forward to being back in Glastonbury and enjoying the magic and the space. And we'll put the link when we finish the live for the workshop, so you can kind of check it out and see if it calls to you, because you'll know if it's something that your body can let you know. But yeah.
So just thank you very much, everyone who's come on and been listening and, you know, laughing and cheering and clapping along with us as we've talked about all the crazy things we've done. I'm really grateful. I'm really, really looking forward to meeting you when I come to the UK. And I just wonder, you know, what it is for all of us. Like, you know, our planet has a future as well. And I just wonder what the planet would love us to co-create with it, so that there can be an even greater future available for all of us. Yeah.
Beautiful question. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been great to connect with you this morning, and of course it's your evening there in Australia. So and thank you everybody for joining us. So if this is speaking to you, then check out the page, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me and ask. So it's been such a pleasure, and till we speak again, much love. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show. If you've enjoyed the show, subscribe and review our podcast. Sign up to receive your Wealthy Business Goddess resources and join us in the Wealthy Business Goddess community at www.lovekimberley.com/WBG. To find out more about how Kimberley can support you in creating the life and business of your dreams, or to watch the show via video, visit the website at www.kimberleylovell.com.